All right, cool. I'm here with Sachin. So yeah, Sachin, thank you for joining. It's uh, it's great to have you here. I'm really I've been looking forward to our conversation.
As always.
All right, cool. So yeah, I want to invite you into this conversation because you know when I started building my coaching business, right, what always inspired me is the stories of other coaches, right, that have built their business. And often we see what's going on outside, but what really inspired me is the people that share their story and what's actually going on the background, right? The real work that's gone there, the blood, the sweat, and the tears, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, let's dive in and let's play together. And so I would like to just ask you a few questions, and maybe we'll see where that takes us.
Cool.
Yeah. So number one, like, what was the biggest problem you had before we met?
Oh man. Where to begin? What, business related or life related?
Yeah. What's interesting, I think, is tell me a little bit about where your business was, but also I think whatever's happening in our business has an impact on our personal life.
Yeah, definitely, man. So yeah, in terms of my business, I was making about 3,000-4,000 pounds a month from coaching. I had one-on-one clients. Yeah, I was just starting to like teach other coaches how they could start doing things differently. Because some of the coaches I was around when they were charging per hour, and they were really struggling to make it like a full-time thing. So yeah, I felt a bit weird about doing that, and I was holding myself back from helping other coaches unless they asked me, and they directly asked me, can you help me? I wasn't really putting myself out there to help anyone. When it comes to my life coaching clients at that time, um, I was charging pretty much the same as what I charge right now, but my enrollment process was crap. Like, I didn't know how to enroll clients. Yeah, I was having conversations and then saying, "Hey, should we do more of this?" But there was no real structure to the process, and there was not very much leadership. Um, and then yeah, in my personal life, I was very scattered. I had very scattered focus, and I didn't have clear things. Like, I wasn't working to clear outcomes. I just was like, yeah, I want to have a good life, and I didn't even know what the hell that means. But yeah, it was just it was very unfocused, I could say. It's like shotgun burst, right? Like, it goes everywhere, but now it's much more like sniper rifle precision.
Yeah, I love that analogy. Thank you for sharing that. So you had your life coaching business, right? You were making around 3-4K a month, and you mentioned something. You mentioned your enrollment process was crap, right? And when we started, I think maybe it would be useful to just give people an idea of how your diary looked like. You're not just a new coach that had no people in the diary, right?
No, so I, to an extent, have the opposite problem most coaches have.
Mm-hmm.
So I was getting on the phone with anyone and everyone when we first started speaking. There was no qualification process. There was like, "Hey, how you doing? Okay, cool. Yeah, let's invite you into a coaching conversation." And I would find out maybe like 2, 3 conversations in that this person is not a great client for me to have. And I was coaching maybe like 12, 15 hours a day, sometimes 18 hours a day, because I just had that belief that a lot of us have. The more I work, the more successful I'll become. And yeah, one of the things that you first told me was, "Hey, take a day off," and I was like, "No, why would I do that? I'm not successful yet."
Yeah. Wow. 12, 15 hours a day.
Yeah. That was normal. Like, I just thought, oh, this is normal, and I got the reinforcement from my dad. Like, when he started his business, he was like a few years younger than me. I'm 27 now.
Mm-hmm.
He was like 22, 23, and he was like, "Yeah, you got a graft, man. We sitting around like crying for it. Like, do your work." and I just thought it was
Yeah.
normal. But now I put quality time in rather than just quantity time in.
All right, awesome. And by the way, like I think what would be useful is to pause there for a second, right? So we get an idea where you were when you started. And I want to go a bit more deeper into, what was happening at that time and then what changed. But I think it's useful you know, to kind of know where you are right now. I don't want to like tell them too much, but just to give them like a glimpse of where you are right now. So people have an idea where you started, where you are now, and then we can look at the journey,
Mm.
right?
Yeah, yeah. So where am I right now? So just had my best 2 months I've ever had. I think I made more in the last month in May than I did in my first whole year of being full time as a coach. No, from the last April and May, I made more in those 2 months than my first 2 years full time as a coach, which is quite funny. Um, so that was fun. And then I have two group programs for business coaching, life coaching, one-on-one clients that I work with. And yeah, I was just saying to you before we started this recording, I'm planning on going on a little world tour and gallivanting around the world, doing whatever I want.
Yeah, I think that's incredible. So in terms of like you mentioned you run two groups, a life coaching, a business group, you get some one-on-one clients, right? Where are we roughly right now, like in terms of clients and income?
So I have at the moment 6 one-on-one clients, and this year, well, I said I wanted to get to 250,000 this year. We just below, yeah, just below half of that at the moment. So yeah, it looks like we'll smash that, smash that 250 goal this year, and I'm gonna have to reevaluate what we're gonna do next year.
Yeah, that's really incredible. So, and I want people to really stop there for a second, right? This happened in the course of around 12, 14 months, right? Maybe a little bit, probably around 14 months, right? And now let's go back. And I just want to share that with people because sometimes we're just listening and we're not sure where it's gonna go, right? Right. So now you're here, and how is life different for you? Obviously, it's great that you have a full practice. You're working with people that you enjoy working with. You get a lot of income coming in. How has that impacted your personal life?
So before we met, I didn't have a personal life.
Mm,
I was just, yeah, I was being really boring. I just literally just focusing on my business. I'm not even trying to talk to anyone else. And I just started dating again after a big, like maybe a year or so of taking a year out of the game. Um, and yeah, just having that. Uh, yeah, I was trying to start dating again, and it really wasn't working well because I was just obsessed with the business and nothing else was important. Um, and yeah, now like so I have one-on-one clients. I have about 20 people in the groups, and it feels like I'm doing more, but I'm not. So back then I was, but yeah, the whole week is consumed by my work, and now I have 2 days off. I'm gonna start doing three when I go travel. I probably work like 6, 7 hours a day that I work on the days that I'm on, and
yeah.
I have way more white space in my diary. But life has gone way more fun for me, and that's the emphasis I'm putting on the rest of the time that I've got on Earth. Like I want it to be more fun because the more fun I have, the more fun it is for people to work with me, and the more fun they have in their lives.
Yeah.
So yeah, if there's two things. One, I'm not whipping myself into action all the time. I'm not trying to say, hey, you should be doing more all the time. That's like significantly less. And the other thing is just living my life for me instead of a future outcome. Like, well, you can't do anything until you get to this
Mm,
point. I've stopped a lot of the unhelpful success routes, if you want to call it that. Like Yeah, that whole thing about just putting in hours is not really, it didn't serve me. And
Yeah.
I think that's one of the major things that's changed.
Yeah, and I think that's powerful, right? So you have more income, you're making a bigger impact, and you have that freedom that comes with it, right? And if we go back to to where you started, right? You already talked about what was happening. You're working like crazy hours, had hardly any personal life. What would be the impact if you didn't change that? Imagine how would you feel if you were still in that same place?
Bro, I'd probably get ill by now. Like people say, oh, you can work hard while you're young. Yeah, maybe, but I don't think I would
Mm-hmm.
have I don't think I would have made any of the impacts or incomes that I've made in this time because yeah, you're not productive if you just keep working. Um, and I'm taking care of my fitness, my health, people around me. Like I'm doing a lot for others because I'm firstly taking care of myself, and I wasn't doing that before. So I think I would have had to take some time out of my business and like go and do some other job. I don't know, maybe I don't know if that's true, but yeah, I think it was not sustainable what I was doing
Mm-hmm.
before.
All right, cool. Thank you for sharing. So, you know, you mentioned around your enrollment process, you mentioned that you were a bit unfocused. But what are some things that you tried that didn't work?
So the first coach I worked with, um, he set me this challenge, right? He was like, look, have a really powerful coaching conversation with someone, then make a proposal. So in 1 month, I think I made like 29 proposals or something crazy like that. Now for him, he was making like 7 or 8, maybe 10 sometimes. And I was going on these mad numbers, like putting 29 coaching conversations, then making proposals, and maybe 2 people would sign up, but not at the fee that I wanted. And I was like, I would always make it about affordability. So if someone says no, I can't do that, I'll be like, okay, so what can you do? Oh, I can do $300. Okay, well, this is what we can do for that. Or I would just say, hey, I'll do the whole thing for you at 300. Is like
Mm,
I feel like I was coming from desperation. Um, another thing that doesn't work is trying to get on the phone with everyone and anyone. Uh, Yeah, another thing that doesn't work is not qualifying people before they graduate to phone calls with you. So Instagram is the main platform for me. That's where I
mhm.
create all of my clients. Okay, most of my clients. And yeah, in the past I was just smashing it out. Every single day I was reaching out to loads of people and just trying to get on the phone with everyone. And that's not really service. That's more coming from a place of I need something. Whereas service is really just like slowing it down and making sure that it's right for both of us. Um, so yeah, it was a bumpy ride, man.
Yeah, yeah. 29 proposals. Wow. Yeah, and I guess that's where most of us want to go initially. We want to have more people in our diary, right? And you mentioned that, and a lot of coaches struggle actually having getting people into the diary, right? But you already had that, right? So what we've been really working on is, improving the enrollment process, right? So tell me a little bit, yeah, actually, like tell me a little bit more about that. What helps you? What helped you improve that?
First things first, not everyone is gonna get on the phone with me. Like,
Mhm.
so let's say, for example, in a given week, I would have, in the past, I reached out to about 20 to 50 people a week, depending on how empty my diary was. And my intention in the beginning was to try and get everyone on the phone call. Now it's okay, if I reach out to 50 people, maybe 5 of them will make
Yeah.
it into a phone call with me at some point because I'm qualifying them. And
Mm,
that has really helped me just serve people better. Like someone who is unemployed, it doesn't serve them to get on the phone with me
mm,
because then they'll be upset. Oh, I can't afford this, even though it was
yeah.
great. So I could send them a bunch of resources. Hey, by the way, here's a lower membership thing, or here's free podcasts, here's whatever. And then someone who's like really qualified to spend time with me, I'm able to spend better quality time with them because I'm
Yeah.
not having hundreds of calls. So that was a big one. And then like building relationships. I didn't really understand what it looks like to do this. I just thought, yeah, you show up and you coach people, and that's what builds your relationship. But really, it's much deeper than that. Um, and I used to. Yeah, you're gonna laugh when I say this. You said this to me as well. You were like, I can't even remember what you said, but you pointed it out to me. I used to say to people, "Yeah, I'm not sure if I want to work with you yet, so let's have another conversation." Like that doesn't show confidence as a coach. That doesn't show like I know what I'm doing and I'm picking the right people. That shows the other person like, um, okay, what the hell? Like, it's coming from ego. Who knows what? I don't know. But yeah, that was not serving anyone, and I was doing it
Yeah,
as
yeah,
like a little power play.
yeah, exactly. And I want to stop that for a second because I think your intentions were good, right? Your it sounds like you were trying to qualify people and telling them, well, look, I don't need you, but the language wasn't really serving the client,
Yeah, it wasn't
right?
serving me either.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So qualification really important. Yeah, awesome. All right, so um, here's an I often hear this question, and I think it's really interesting, and I'm curious what comes up for you. Before you send the initial payment to work with me, there might have been like a doubt or insecurity that was holding you back. If so, what was it?
Bro, I was terrified. I was sitting there like, so when we had our conversation when I was in Japan, um, and was it just before I went? It might have, no, I think it was when I was there. And I said to you, yeah, I want to do this, but I'm scared. And you were like, I can't even remember what you said, something along the lines of like, dude, it's normal. Like, it's okay. That's very normal to be a bit scared, especially because the first coach I had didn't charge me a lot. In fact, we used to do like a little exchange where I would teach him about social media and he was teaching me about their business. And there was very little payments that went to him. So yeah, I was just terrified because it was a lot of money for me back then. And now I'm looking at like, yeah, it was way worth it. And you said something about, your default future looks like this little curve, right? Like you're gonna steadily go up. With time we learn stuff and that's great. But your created future is so exponential. And that's what I've experienced in the last 14 months or so. Man, like it has just gone exponential. And back then, I had a lot of faith in my ability to work, as in to put in the hours to do whatever. But the fear was like, what if it doesn't work? And then but like I'm maybe I'm one of those people, I don't know, but I was just like, you know what? No, I'm refusing to take no for an answer. And as well as I do, this year I had a lot of downs, as well as some good ups, but I was really like getting defeated by the process at some points. And if I didn't have you there to talk me off the ledge, as they say, or to like, be the voice of reason and to like can't slow me down and help me to like tweak things, man, I would have lost my marbles. Like this year was tough. One of my clients was earning more money than I was, and I was business coaching him, and that really scared me. I felt so out of integrity with myself, even though every single session I had with him was helping him a lot. He, just seeing that as me as a coach, I was like, man, I'm failing this client. This doesn't feel right, and I got really scared. But again, like if I didn't have my coach there, you to like just help to like be the voice of reason, slow me down, make sure that like I didn't make any rash decisions. Because I was thinking about just quitting, forget business coaching. I'm not succeeding. Like, why would I do this? Um, yeah, it really helped. And then within 4 months of that happening, uh, yeah, my income like went crazy.
Yeah, and I personally love that because that shows that you're really good as a coach, and we see this everywhere, right? We see coaches that maybe weren't as successful in their own sports career. They coach someone else, and that person becomes like a world champion, right? So sometimes our ability to coach, right, helps us someone else perform better than we do ourselves. All right, and thank you for sharing that. you know. Cool. So what do you feel, what was the main difference about myself and my coaching compared to others? I know you talked a little bit about your previous coach.
Yeah, I tried a few coaches. So when I met you, I just finished with my other coach. He was cool, like, but he was more like selling from the stage, like international speaker, mostly like selling courses for companies from the stage. So it was a very different approach to selling and marketing. It was very different. And he coaches like, I think he used to charge like 7 or 8 thousand pounds for like 6 months or something like that. So and he showed me like his spreadsheets. He showed me like how to track stuff. It was a good introduction, I guess. But it's like I look at like video games, right? I used to be addicted to video games when I was younger. Conversation for another time. But you start off at the introductory levels, and a game gets harder and harder as you go up. And as the game gets harder, your skill levels improve, and you get access to different tools to help you tackle the levels. And I felt like, okay, I've gone from level 1 to 5, and that was the coach for me back then. Now I'm making the jump from level 5 to level 200, and I need the coach who's already been to level 500 and back, and knows it like the back of his hand. And before, while me and you were speaking, I had a few conversations with a few other people, and they, okay, this is gonna sound mean, and I don't mean for it to be. The disclaimer is not everyone's style is appropriate for everyone. But man, some people have no idea what they're doing. And I don't mean that in a mean way, but just like, dude, if I come to you and I say, yo, I want to make some more money from my business, you don't need to dive into like, okay, if you say, well, what's holding you back? Yeah, great, I get it. But that's got nothing to do with my childhood. Yeah, a lot of fucked up stuff, excuse me, a lot of messed up stuff happened when I was young. But that's got nothing, very little to do with what I'm doing today. You need to, like, but you asked me about my enrollment process. I didn't even know what the hell you were talking about. Like, a lot of people just straight, like, they there's more coaching, as in like it's much more focused on my beliefs and stuff rather than actual like structure, rather than like, it's almost like a mentoring consulting type thing that I was looking for, but all I was getting was pure coaching. And I get it, because that can be helpful, and you've coached me a lot. But the mentoring, the consulting, the, okay, I've done what you've been doing, and I've been there. This is what doesn't work, and this is what will work better. Try this. Let's try these things. Okay, let's testing it, and then we can test different parts of the process. So much of that has helped way more than, oh, and why do you think that it's hard for you to make proposals? I don't need to go into the stuff. Okay, like I've spent enough time there. And
Yeah,
yeah, just like talking about my feelings only helps so much.
yeah, and I get it. And I think, unfortunately, sometimes we as coaches, we almost create our own agenda, and we lose the focus on what's the best for the client. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I think it's only be possible, you know because you've been so open to being coached, right? You talked a little bit about this year. I mean, you're looking at the results. The results are phenomenal, but there's been a lot of ups and downs,
There'll be a
right?
shitload of downs.
Mm,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
when it got scariest for me to continue with our coaching. Like, I knew I was in for the year, so I didn't feel like saying to you at any point, hey, I want to stop. But I was just scared. Like the whole, like all throughout those downs, if I didn't have you coaching me through the process, and I probably would have given up, or I probably would have like I would have just turned into a marketer probably,
yeah,
rather than sticking with what I love to do.
yeah. And I'm glad you shared that, because often you see these kind of conversations, and it's all about how things went from 0 to 1 million, right? But this is the real part, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't all, it wasn't a straight line up. Um, all right, cool. Take us to the moment when you realized that the coaching was working for you to solve your problem.
So, I was making a proposal to an influencer client, and before I made the proposal, I got scared, And I was like, oh, but it's so much money. And you asked me something like, to who? And I was like, well, to me, obviously. And you're like, well, you even said this to me today. Why are you making it about you? And that's when, like, when that client signed up with me, that's when I realized, like, I wouldn't have been able to do this without your help. Um, and it wasn't just that. Like, I knew the coaching was working from the beginning. But that's when I got like a financial result to associate with it. And I think in my first month or 3 months of working with you, I made like 65K in coaching sales, and that's cool. Like, I was happy about it. But I think, like, yeah, there's like crumbs and there's cookies. I just made this analogy up right now. Let's go with it. But the crumbs were like, yeah, I'm feeling the input, the internal shifts. I'm seeing stuff in my enrollment process change, and then the cookies were like, oh, we got a big payment. Cool. I'm gonna start using that more often. That's quite good.
I like it. Crumbs and cookies. Yeah. And that's where the magic happens, right? When we do the deep work, when we do the inner work, right, we get the results. And I can see that I've been a witness of you doing the inner work, right? And you've been able, because of that, we can hold space for others, right? We can be there for others. Cool. Yeah. So we talked a little bit about this before, but tell us a bit more about how your life looks like now. Now the initial problem you came with is being solved. What are some of the successes you had?
It's just, and I don't mean this to be complacent, because we've talked about that too, but it's easier for me to create clients. So I'm in the process of pretty much doubling my fees. Yeah, doubling my fees, and creating, different groups that can serve me. So my problem has always been, I always have too many people to talk to, or now I'm accommodating that. So I've got like a lower end membership group, got two like lower end group coaching programs, and they've got building two higher end groups, and then I've got one-on-one. And yeah, just look, in the past I used to run my mouth. Okay, like I used to talk a big game, and yeah, I think my game is finally backing my mouth. My game caught up to my mouth, I guess you could say. So yeah, now that's the way the business looks in my personal life. Yeah, I'm getting way better at balancing. So it's really easy for me to put in loads of work and forget about everything else. But I think there's no point in having a business if you're going to treat it like a job. So yeah, I'm getting to a place where it's easy for me to switch off. And since I started this, that's been one of the hardest things. Like when I'm off, I'm off. Whereas in the past, they'd be like, oh, no, let's make a little exception. I'll take calls on my day off. It's fine because I need to make the money. And now it's more like, I'll very rarely do that. I'm not going to say never, because I get excited, man. I'll talk to a prospective client. I'll be like, yo, this is interesting. Let's talk.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like on both sides. I think everything feels a lot lighter, and there's an ease about me when I have conversations, and I think it's making me way more attractive to work with. And not just that, but like in my personal life, dating, relationships with my friends, I'm way easier to be around. And in the past, people used to be like, "Man, you're too intense. Can you like turn it down a little bit?" And I'll just be always on. But now it's like, yeah, a lot easier to be off.
Yeah. Amazing, man. All right, cool. So we talked already about some of the things you created, right? You had a fast start, right? And then there were quite a few downs, and then there's ups and downs, right? If you look at like what you've created, what are you most happy about what you've created in this time?
I think the enrolling clients, like
Mm-hmm.
the process that I've created now, going from like I post something on Instagram to someone pays me to
Yeah.
work with me, because that was the hardest part for me, man. It was so like I was so scared. like, oh, I don't want to do the wrong thing, and now I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And I guess that is the missing piece for a lot of people. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, I think that's one of the things. I guess the other thing would be the group thing, man. Like, I have so many people to talk to, and in the past I was always worrying, like, oh, if I take on too many clients, then now it's like, okay, I got groups, cool. Like, I could take on 100 clients, and everything will
Mhm.
be cool.
Yeah. And I think that's really powerful, right? You've not been able to only enroll clients, right, at 10, 15, 25, 30K, right? But now you have these group programs where you're able to leverage yourself,
Hmm.
right? You can have a
Hmm.
bigger impact. Of course, with that comes more impact, more income.
That was the thing we talked about in the beginning as well. Like, yeah, I've been wanting to start a group or do an online course, and yeah, because I want to make more accessible ways for people to work with me. And now having this, just it's really it's like it takes the pressure off just working one on one, because one on one is obviously way more expensive.
Yeah.
Um, it's not right for everyone. But when you have groups, it's way more accessible, especially the way that we've designed it. Yeah, it just takes a lot of pressure off.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So, what have been some like the tiny insights that have made the biggest difference for you?
How long you got, bro? Number one, slowing down. Like, man, one time you told me about this, and I don't know if I can't remember if I said it to you, but I think I was like, oh, just shut up, man. Stop talking about this slowing down BS. I'm getting fed up with it. And I think you just were just like, you could tell I was getting annoyed, but you didn't say, oh, don't worry, it won't work for you, and I'll just please you. You served me. You slowed me down. You're like, yeah, okay, I get it, because it's hard to slow down, but I got so much from slowing down that I got it written on my wrist forever. So that's the main one. Now, if we're gonna pinpoint one, the slowing down has affected me in all areas of my life. So my love life, my business, my family, with my friends, with food, fitness, tattoos, travel, everything that I want to do and everything that I enjoy and everything I love. If I slow down, I enjoy it more. I get more out of it, and it doesn't feel heavy. I guess that's one of the main things. Is like conversations with clients used to feel heavy or anxious or excited. Like now, it's much more like, okay, and it's not
Yeah.
apathy. It's not like, oh, it doesn't matter, and I'm not feeling any type of way about it. It's more like I'm good and I'm looking forward to it, but I don't need anything. That's what the slowing down has really taught me. Is much more like the pay. Like I think it was Steve Chandler. Is like living at the speed of life rather than the speed of your thinking. Man, when you met me, my thinking was crazy, and I was smoking weed a little bit as well. Like you called me out on that too, and it was messing with the speed of my thinking, the speed of my life, and slowing down. Like I haven't smoked weed in a long time. Like I don't feel like I need to, but in the past, it was in the back of my head every day, and I smoked every day for almost 8 years. So this was a big deal for me, and just this insight, and you keep reinforcing it for me in different ways when we speak. Slow down to that. This is an opportunity for you to slow down, slow that person down, slow your conversation down. Hearing it over and over again, it started to sink in finally. And yeah, I'm getting a lot out of it.
Yeah. I'm really pleased to hear that. And and the impact of that, right? If someone is listening to this and they probably think, well, slowing down, I'm probably going to achieve less. But from what I'm hearing is like it's helped you actually, perform at higher levels, be more productive, be more happy, right?
The happiness is the key, man. That's
Yeah.
the main thing that's changed for me. Like I'm way easier to be around, and I'm
Yeah.
not on all the time. I'm not so intense. Um, but yeah, I had that fear too, man. You told me to take a day off, and I felt like slapping you. I'm like, how dare you tell me to take a day off? Do you know? I even said it to you. I was like, are you serious? Like, I need to
Yeah.
get this money. We talking about take a day off. It was so
Mm.
foreign to me. But now I'm making a conscious effort to have more white space in my diary, because I see the difference. Like yes, so Wednesdays are my day off. Yesterday I had a full day off. I didn't do anything. Now I talked to one of my friends, and I had a long conversation with someone in the evening, but it wasn't coaching related. It was someone I wanted to make time to speak with because we had stuff to talk about. Nothing business related, nothing coaching related. In the past, I would have put that conversation off and had it in a month's time where things got worse. But I cleared up all this stuff, and I said this to you in our call today. I took it. I had like an spiritual dump of all of my crap that needed to be gotten rid of, and that's me like prioritizing my needs and taking care of me. But in the past, I wasn't doing anything like that. I was just, don't talk to me. I need to work. And it's really, it translates across the board.
Yeah, I love that, because often when we think about growing more clients, more income, it would probably be scary. You're working already 12 to 15 hours. You're like, how am I going to get there? There's like, there are not enough hours in the day, right?
Yeah.
But you've been able to actually increase the quality of your life while, helping more people, making a bigger difference in the world.
I just want
All
to
right.
say, I asked you, how am I going to do it? Because I'm already working so many hours. And you laughed. You said you do it by doing less. And I felt like crying. I was like, no, no.
Yeah, it's counterproductive.
That's so funny.
All right, cool. Well, I was actually, you've pretty much answered the next two questions already, so I'm gonna leave that. You know, this has been super useful. What I would like to do, if someone is listening to this, right? Maybe they are, just qualified, or maybe they're earning like 5,000 a month, and they're thinking like, well, how can I double my income, right? What would you say to someone that's listening right now? What you've shared so far has already been really valuable, right? And they can take things from this and put it into practice. But if there's one thing that you can share with the listeners or with the viewers.
Honestly, like, I think so. I can only speak from my own experience, but I think we tend to complicate the process so much. Like, okay, so social media, like, it doesn't need to be complicated. Just do it and stop crying about it. And when I say that, I mean, like, go watch some tutorials. It's not a question of how do I do it. It's a question of, do you actually want to do it, and why are you not doing it? It's not a question of how it's do you want it. So that's the first thing. Start doing what, if you're not putting off social media, but you're putting off doubling your fees or whatever it is, just start doing it. And the second thing is, like, when it comes to complicating things, this is, you told me this, take the focus off all the other things that might be taking your attention away from building a relationship with that person. And that's much more about, like, how do you show up as their coach already? And that is the game changer, man. Like, take your focus off the numbers. That's fees, number of clients, number of hours, all that. Take all that off and just put the focus on one person. Okay, we're having a conversation with Gerald. He makes hats for a living. Okay, cool. Let me go and learn a little bit about making hats. Or even forget that. Let me just go and learn more about him. Read his blog, like all the standard stuff in the Prosperous Coach. But just, I think we all complicate this thing too much, and it doesn't need to be. If it was complicated, I wouldn't be able to get it. Let's put it that way. So if I can get it, I think everyone can.
I love that. Yeah, and the reality is it's simple, right? But it's not easy.
Yeah,
Right?
dude, you told me that in the beginning. It can be complicated and easy, like, but it can be simple and difficult.
Cool. If there would be a way to describe, my coaching in a single sentence, or how would you describe that?
Yeah, it's okay. I'll play with this a little bit. So it's like going at tortoise speed, and then you feel like you're going at tortoise speed, and then you look back and you realize that you've done like a light speed warp, like Star Wars style, and you ended up in a different galaxy. Like, honestly, man, that's how I look at the last 14 months, and I think, how the hell did we get here? No, yeah, it's I think most people are focused on going like light speed in the beginning, but that's what I've seen. the whole thing with you and slowing me down. I've seen you say it to other people. I've seen you post about it. I've seen you say it in videos. It's that's the secret weapon, man. That's been the game changer.
Thank you. Cool. We've come towards the end of our conversation. Yeah, would you recommend coaching with me?
No. No, I'm just messing with you.
Thank you.
No, I wouldn't, dude.
We'll make sure we cut this part out. No, I'm joking.
I wouldn't have signed up with you for another year if I wouldn't. No, but I've told people about you. I've had you as a guest on my talks a few times. I actually made a referral for someone else to talk to you recently. I sent them your Facebook profile. Yeah, the thing that I would say to everyone is like, don't half-ass it. You either be in or don't. And if you're gonna be in, like be in with the right person. And that's what I loved about when I started speaking with you. It wasn't just concepts. You weren't just throwing ideas at me like, this is how we could work together. This is what I'll do for you. It was, no, you moved the needle for me straight away. You just helped me straight away. And that's why I would recommend you.
All right. I appreciate that, man. So, all right. It's been insightful, and I love actually just listening to this. And for me, like, I love usually when I listen to things, to take notes. And I'm gonna rewatch this, man, because this has been insightful. Cool, man. If anyone wants to find you, because look, and I'm happy to bring you back in a different way onto the podcast, onto the YouTube channel, because I think you have so much value to add. But where can people find you?
Yeah, next time I'll wear the wizard hat so I can do some Instagram sessions with you guys. So just search 3 words, spoon of consciousness, and you'll find me on all the podcasts, Instagram, YouTube, and all that. But yeah, Instagram is the best place if you want to get hold of me. I don't want to encourage anyone just to say hi, but if you got something from this, you want to ask me a question about what it's like to work with Siawash, like, yeah, shoot me a message. Thank you for having me. It's been nice to reflect on this. I've been meaning to do this myself, and I'll listen back to it as well, and I'll like put some notes in my journal, and I'll probably cry a little bit too.
Oh man, lots of love. Take care, man.